Hello, I'm Richard Seltzer. I'd like to share with you a story from my book, To Gether Tales, which will soon be published by All Things That Matter Press. Pop goes the universe. Let me get this straight, said Ron Wellick, professor of astrophysics and cosmology. You're talking about a conclusion you've derived from online data. This is like detecting gravity waves generated when black holes collide. For the sake of argument, I can accept that eventually the universe will come to an end. I can accept that the beginning of that process is about to start. But the odds of such an event starting in the vicinity of our solar system are infinitesimally small. Even if a destructive force field were to be triggered, the odds are great that it wouldn't reach Earth for billions of years. Your theory is interesting, but the danger you describe isn't likely to have any effect on our lives. Roger, a sophomore taking Astronomy 101, explained, this isn't a matter of a force field propagating at the speed of light. In that case, in the vastness of the universe, the odds that it would start anywhere near here are negligible. And it could be billions of years before the force struck here. But no, space-time itself is going to collapse, and hence it will take no time at all for everything to end. Professor, you explained in your lectures that the expansion of the universe is like a bubble expanding. As the bubble expands, the surface area gets larger. And while movement along the surface is limited by the speed of light, the expansion of the bubble, the expansion of space-time itself, is not so limited. That's how the universe got so large so fast. 13.7 billion years ago, at the Big Bang, the universe began expanding. There may have been other universes. There may be other universes right now. Nearly all of them burst and end in nanoseconds. By chance, among all the infinite possibilities in all of eternity, this Big Bang led to a set of physical laws that led to a self-sustaining universe capable of expanding and evolving the way ours has. You told us all that, and I believe astronomers agree on that today. But the more something expands, the thinner the surface gets. Then it pops. My idea is as simple as that. When the bubble pops, the end of everything happens in an instant. By my calculations, that will happen in 3 years, 27 days, 4 hours, 2 minutes, and 15 seconds. You mean? Yes, pop goes the universe. Am I to take it that you're waving a sign saying the end of the world is nigh? The professor laughed. I'm saying the end of the universe is nigh. Nothing left. No dystopic world with caveman conditions. There is no afterward, and it wouldn't matter if we had emigrated to Mars. Nothing. Everywhere. The end of everywhere. The end of where? The end of time and space. Nada. Imagine God as a child blowing bubbles, and most of the bubbles burst right away, but one grows for 13.7 billion years, which to him is a short time. The bigger it gets, the thinner its surface gets, and it must expand because there's nothing around it. Something expands to fill nothing. So sooner or later, it is so thin that it must burst. And God, like a child, claps his hands with glee to see that. And the universe, our universe, all of it, is gone instantly. So what? Asked the professor. If it's all going to be over, it will all be over, whether we know that it's coming or not. By your reasoning, there's nothing we can do to stop it. But we're meant to know that it's going to happen. Meant to know? What do you mean by that? Meant by whom? The timing is too perfect. In all of the 13.7 billion years since the Big Bang, this will happen at the moment when man has evolved and has developed technology to the point that he can figure out that this is about to happen. That's an incredible coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences. There has to be a reason for this. And if there's a reason for this, then there's a reason for life and consciousness to have ever existed, a reason for there to be mankind, a reason for there to be you and me. Then everything makes sense. You make no sense at all, my boy, Professor objected. Will you celebrate how brilliant you are when everything ends? Congratulations. Only you won't be around to celebrate. You and everyone and everything will no longer exist. You don't get it, Professor. This is a quantum thing. Knowing this is going to happen changes the conditions of the experiment. Knowing matters. Knowing may be all that matters. Maybe us all knowing what is about to happen will change the physical conditions of the universe, and it won't happen. Are you in therapy, boy? Therapy is the other piece of this. Even if we can't change the physical conditions by knowing, knowing will change us, change what we believe, what we expect, how we behave. Knowing with certainty that the world will end on a particular day will change how we act now, how we act every day that remains to us. It will transform mankind. And that may be the purpose of the end: redemption, renewal, total self-awareness. And then total oblivion? Pascal's gamble, version 2.0. Do you believe in the imminent end of the universe? If you don't believe, that makes no difference. It will end with or without your belief. But if you do believe, you will change your behavior, everyone will change their behavior, and the world will be transformed. For better or for worse, what the hell difference will their behavior make if there's no future, if everything ends? Try a thought experiment, suggested Roger. Einstein loved those, like Jesus loved parables. Imagine that you have cancer. There's no chance of a cure. You'll be dead in a year. Would you want to know? And how would knowing affect your behavior in your final days? If you don't know, you'll fritter away your time on things that you don't need to do and that don't mean anything to you. If you do know, you won't want to do things that you consider a waste of time, and you won't start things that you won't be able to finish. Maybe you'll do whatever you can for your family and friends so they'll be better off when you're gone. Maybe you'll try to make the world a better place, and maybe you'll try to ease your mind and achieve inner peace. Now let's turn that thought experiment up a notch. Everyone is going to end at the same time as you. There will be no family, no friends, no world after you. What do you do in the remaining time? I'm not talking about the rapture, some biblical end of days with God and Satan and the saved and the damned. You can't save your soul by doing good deeds between now and then. There's no pro quo, no bargain with God. If I do this, I get that. There's no soul in the scenario. Everything just ends. What do you do with the time you have left? How does that belief change what you value, the meaning of life to you? You could call this the fundamental moral question. If this were the case, what would your values be? What would you do? If there were no future at all, and no soul, and no God to bargain with, what would you do? In the broader scheme of things, everything may start all over again. The universe may be just a stage in a much larger game. Peekaboo, only you won't be around for the next stage, and there will be no memory of you, or of anything you have done, or of mankind, or of the entire universe. The sequel to the Big Bang is the little pop. What will you do if you believe with absolute certainty that everything will cease to exist on a designated day 3 years from now? Believing or not believing makes a huge difference. If you believe, should you tell those you know and love? Do you have a moral obligation to tell everyone? What are the consequences if you don't tell them? And what are the consequences if you do? Now I've passed the baton to you, Professor. I've done my duty. The responsibility is yours, not mine. You have to decide to tell or not to tell. What do you mean? I'm just a kid. No one would believe me, no matter what I might say. Not my friends, not my parents, much less the world. But you're a renowned scientist. People will listen to you. And even more people will listen to the people who listen to you. If you tell this tale, whether it's true or not, the world will believe, and believing will change the world. That's your responsibility. That weighs on your shoulders now. Thank you, Professor. I hope you enjoyed this story. It comes from To Gether Tales, a novel of mine that will soon be published by All Things That Matter Press. My name again is Richard Seltzer, as in Alka-Seltzer. My email is seltzer@seltzerbooks.com. All Things That Matter recently published 3 novels of mine, Parallel Lives, Beyond the Fourth Door, and Nevermind. You can find those all at Amazon as paperbacks and as ebooks. They can be read in any order. They're independent stories with overlapping theme and styles. Each presents a different view of reality, a different way of trying to make sense of the mysteries of life.